Hi, Al Lipper here. Good to see you today. If you don't know me, I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs to help them not only increase their revenue in their business, like most folks do, most consultants do, but I also help you to get time back, because time is our most precious commodity in our lives. We all only get a certain amount, 24 hours in a day. And if we can get time back, then that means we have time to spend on those things that truly matter most to us in our lives. And for most of the folks that I like to work with, that means their family. Because at the end of the day, it's the relationships that we have with the people who we care about and we love that really mean the most to us. So that's what I help folks with. So today I have a really cool business strategy to share with you. You know, I'm sitting here outside of my home office, and it always gives me perspective to look out over the mountains here and look out over the valley towards the ocean. And it puts into perspective things that matter more and things that matter less, because I can see so far and see the big things and the small things. And so that's kind of what today's strategy is going to build on. Anyway, so here's today's business strategy. Not too long ago, I was looking at data from our business and trying to analyze our advertising data more effectively. And you're probably familiar with the 80-20 principle. You know, most entrepreneurs are. Just to recap though, it basically says that 80% of the results that you achieve will come from 20% of your effort. And then the remaining 20% of your results requires an additional 80% of effort. So the 80 principle says just identify that 20% that gives you, that 20% of effort that gives you your 80% of results, and do that. And so I was working with the principle and trying to apply it to our advertising. And over a certain period of time, we had spent, I think it was about $30,000, maybe it was $25,000, $30,000 on email advertising that we did through other companies. That is, we would pay them a certain amount, and they would send out emails on our behalf with ads of one sort or another in them. And I looked at how much revenue we generated from all of those emails. And turns out we were working with, I think it was 24 different vendors that we paid over that period of time in order to send out emails to us. And out of those emails that were sent out, well, we tracked sales pretty carefully, and we had made, I think it was about $150,000 worth of sales. And so it's a pretty good ROI, right? You know, you put 25 or 30,000 in, and you get 150,000 back in revenue. Overall, that seemed like a good ROI. But then I decided to dig deeper, because working with all these different companies, and like I said, there were 24 different vendors of emails that we worked with, and it requires a lot of energy and effort to work with each of these individual companies. They'll have different procedures and different methods, and some have better results than others, obviously. So what I did is I broke it down into how much we made in revenue and sales, basically, from each of the promotions that we did, and put it in a spreadsheet, sorted it by the vendor, so I could see, well, for vendor A, how many dollars in sales did we make? Vendor B, how many dollars in sales did we make? And I knew on total we had made 150,000. So I figured, well, 80% of 150,000, what would that be? 120,000, right? So I put the vendors in order of the highest return on the highest amount of sales to the lowest. And then I started adding up how much I made from each vendor. So, you know, the first one, maybe we made $30,000 in sales, and the next one was $20,000 in sales, etc. And so I started adding those up to see at what point would I get to that 80% of that $150,000 sales, or $120,000. So I'm adding them up, you know, 30,000, 20,000, etc. And I go down the list until I get to a total of $120,000 in sales. And out of 24 different vendors that we used for advertising, guess how many of them got me to that 80% mark? 6. 6 of them. 6 of them were responsible for 80% of the sales we made, and 6 out of 24 was that 25%. So not quite 80-20, but it was like 80-25. 80% of our sales came from 25% of the vendors we advertised with. And so, guess what we did? This was from a previous season, so then for the next season, we just advertised with those 6 and doubled our ad budget with each of them. And guess what happened? We actually ended up making more from advertising just with those 6 than advertising with those 24 that we had started with, and it cost us a whole lot less too. It cost us less than half in ad cost. So 80-20 principle in action. I encourage you to do that. If you're doing advertising, apply it to your advertiser or your advertising vendors and see which ones really provide you with the most revenue, and my guess is you'll find something similar. Anyway, that's today's business strategy. If this has been useful to you, I encourage you to pass it on to other folks you know who it might also be useful to. And as always, all my best to you and your family. Thanks for watching.